Hi guys. Today we're going to talk about the supposed pagan origins of the Catholic Church, as some radical anti-Catholics suggest. Now I know we've had this discussion time and time again, but I found an article that was very interesting when I was at Catholic Answers, when I was searching their website. I found an article in This Rock magazine, which is actually back from 2005. It's rather old, but it was very interesting because this particular article was written by a Protestant. Okay, this guy who's writing this article is not a Catholic, but he was at one time a rabid anti-Catholic who taught that the Catholic Church was pagan. It came from pagan Babylonian mystery religions. It was the whore of Babylon, etc. This guy, his name was Ralph Woodrow. And what many people don't realize is that this guy, Ralph Woodrow, was actually one of the main proponents of this idea that the Catholic Church had pagan origins in our modern times. He was the person to really promote this idea. He actually wrote a book titled Babylon Mystery Religion, where he went through and talked about all the supposed pagan practices of the Catholic Church. And one of his main inspirations was this guy named Alexander Hislop, who wrote back in the 1800s a book titled The Two Babylons. And what Babylon Mystery Religion is basically a modern-day rehashing of that older book. And it was very popular amongst fundamentalists. But under closer examination, Woodrow realized that he was wrong, and he wrote a new book titled The Babylon Connection, ? In which he refutes his original idea. And of course he pulled Babylon Mystery Religion out of print. And when he did this, though, he faced a lot of opposition from Protestants. Let me quote for you from this article. He says, "In 1997, our ministry quit publishing Babylon Mystery Religion. I presented the details of the reasons for the change in another book titled The Babylon Connection ? I realized some fine letters. I received some fine letters from both Catholics and Protestants expressing appreciation for the clarification and correction. But I also got mean-spirited letters from radical anti-Catholic folks who felt I had given in to the enemy. Some used terms like stupid and scum. They said I was, quote, scared of the truth, a, quote, low-down coward, a, quote, traitor to Christ, and following a false god. One letter accused me of being a, quote, undercover Jesuit. It puzzles me how some can be so fanatical against one set of errors, or what they perceive to be errors, only to discover greater and more obvious errors, only to develop greater and more obvious errors, like becoming judgmental, hateful, and dishonest. Rumors flew, according to one, that, quote, the Catholics put so much pressure on me that I had a heart attack and almost died. So I recanted and wrote another book. Another rumor had in it that my motives were financial. My desire was to become popular and make more money. But the truth is that our ministry faced much financial loss because of the decision to pull the original book out of print and make a new one. I recall a man saying, I know the Catholics must really have been persecuting you. Tell me, what are they doing to you? But he seemed disappointed when I told him I had not been persecuted by Catholics. My reason for pulling the original book out of print was quite basic. Citing similarities between Catholic practices and pagan practices proves nothing if there's no actual connection. By this method, one would condemn Protestants and evangelical denominations such as Baptists, Assemblies of God, etc., because of basic things such as prayer, kneeling in prayer, would have to be rejected because pagans did the same thing. Water baptism would have to be rejected because pagans had rituals involving baptism, and the list goes on and on. You would also have to reject the Bible because it had practices that were similar also in paganism, such as raising hands in worship, taking shoes off on holy ground, a holy place in the temple, sacrifices without blemish, a city of refuge, bringing forth water from a rock, laws written on stone, fire appearing on a person's head, etc. And he also points out in this article that atheists make those same types of arguments against Christianity as a whole. And for those of you who are familiar with the Zeitgeist or Zeitgeist film, however you want to pronounce it, that's going around YouTube, which has been refuted time and time again, atheists are making similar arguments that Protestants make about Catholics. It's pretty ridiculous. He also criticizes the idea of the Whore of Babylon theory that Protestants put out. Okay? Listen to this, you anti-Catholics who constantly use this stupid argument. It says, the harlot called, quote, Mystery Babylon is described as being arrayed in purple and scarlet, as Revelation 17:4 says. Some immediately link these colors with the bright and highly decorated vestments worn by the Pope and others within the hierarchy of the Catholic Church. But these colors do not represent that connection. Purple and scarlet were used for the tabernacle curtains in Exodus 26:1, the veil of the temple in 2 Chronicles 3:14, the garments worn by the Old Testament priests in Exodus 28:6 and 8 and 15. An early Christian convert, Lydia, was a seller of purple goods in Acts 16:11. Proverbs mention that the family of the good wife is clothed in purple in Proverbs 31:22. Daniel, certainly not a compromiser with worldly ways, was honored by being clothed in purple in Daniel 5:29. Mystery Babylon is described as being seated on, quote, 7 mountains, Revelation 17:9. The claim that this chapter is about the Catholic Church does not fit the overall text because Rome is known as the seven-hilled city. Some suppose that this is the intended meaning. Hislop, for example, describes the Pope as he who has his seat on the 7 hills of Rome. The 7 hills are Palatine, Capitoline, Quirinal, Aventine, Caelian, Esquiline, and Viminal. The Pope's seat is on Vatican Hill across the Tiber to the west, not on one of the 7. A 7-hilled city would be more likely to describe pagan Rome, not papal Rome. Moreover, the word mountains is taken literally, as the hills of Rome would hardly qualify, okay? Some translations have it worded as 7 mountains, some have it worded as 7 hills, but the Greek word means mountain, not hill. The highest Quirrell is at 226 feet above sea level. So, these people who are making these claims that there's connections between Catholicism and pagan Babylonian religion, it's completely ridiculous. And this author who formerly held to this idea admits this. And Ralph Woodrow, his book Babylon Mystery Religion, is the basis for all these modern day claims. Okay, all these people like Jack Chick and such get their ideas from this guy. At least in our modern times, of course, Woodrow got his ideas from Alexander Hislop, but Woodrow refuted all these ideas in his newer book, The Babylon Connection, where he refutes all these ideas. But yet people still cling on to Woodrow's original book, which is pretty absurd. It just shows how people are willing to just embrace something without looking into the facts just because of their prejudices. For those who want to read the whole article, please click the link on the side. It's a must-see, especially for those who still hold to this idea. Okay, so I thank you for watching this video, and may God bless you. And please, Protestants, stop using this ridiculous idea. It's just making you look stupid, and just shows that the people who hold to this idea are just willfully ignorant or just plain deceitful.